Okay, guys, let's talk about on today's podcast why so many entrepreneurs cannot get out of the rat race, can't hop off that hamster wheel. And it's because they don't understand the difference between transactional and active income and what we call cash flow and passive income. Because if you want to live that lifestyle, be able to travel the world, be able to do what you want, coach your kid's soccer team, take your daughter to her ballet class whenever you want without limitations, guys, you have to work for passive income. Today on the show, we have rockstar real estate investor and agent, my partner, Ian Flannigan. We're going to talk a lot about different strategies, where you can build up passive income as a real estate investor and now as a real estate agent with EXP Realty. Let me introduce you to my guest, Ian Flannigan. Ian, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, how's it going, Connor? How's it going, buddy?
Doing good, man. So we're going to go through here and talk about a lot of stuff today because this is important. This is for investors and agents. I don't know why it's hard to kind of convey this point to a lot of real estate agents that passive income is what's going to set them free. Let's go through and start out talking about, we're going to go through and talk about different ways to do this in the business, rental properties, notes, private lending, go on and talk about internet marketing and social media marketing through YouTube, as well as the massive passive income model that agents are now allowed to build through what we're doing with EXP Realty. So where do you want to start? You want to start with rental properties? Because this is probably the
Yeah,
most,
sure. Let's just start with the bare bones, just single family houses, and
right? So,
we can start with that. What it takes to get cash flow going is basically the vehicle of having a house. So, if you're going to look to build cash flow through rentals, it's that's like the oldest story in the book of building cash flow. Hey, I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying it's tough to get it going, and it's tough to really, really scale it up because think about it. I mean, you gotta have a couple ways to finance a rental property. Number one is with cash. And if you have all of your own cash, then great, go buy some rental properties and manage them and get them cash flowing. You got that appreciation, that equity, what we call in the business, because you're either buying equity or buying cash flow. Obviously, I do a lot of fix and flips. I just closed on one this morning. Finally getting that thing off our books after months of gas lines and electrical and contractors and all that fun stuff. So, building a rental portfolio is tough. You know that, Connor.
right. Well, it comes down to cash reserves, right? So let's look at
Yeah.
someone who has $100,000. If you have $100,000 of your own money, you can raise it. Credit lines, hard money lenders, private money lenders. What are you going to do with that money? So here's the difference between a loan to cost and loan to value loan. Let's talk about that real quick because it's important to understand. So a lot of y'all will go find a house that's say worth $100,000 that you can pay $80,000 for and have instant equity of 20 grand. But the bank's going to give you what's called a loan to cost loan, which means they're only going to lend you 80% of the purchase price of the cost to buy it. So you're going to get about a $64,000 loan on an $80,000 purchase price, which means, and you're going to have carrying costs as well. So that means that, yeah, you get that property and you get it leveraged, but you have a lot of your own cash in that deal. So if you're leaving $15,000, $20,000 in, eventually you're going to run out of money. So what do people do? They raise money and they do what's called a BRRRR method, strategy, a fix and finance method, where they're buying the house at a discount with private money, or they raise money. They're forcing the depreciation up by rehabbing it. They're seasoning it for 6 months, and now they're going back to the bank and getting what's called a loan to value loan and pulling their money out. So it's the difference between like this. I like to explain it like this. If you have $1 and you go to the gas station and you buy a candy bar and you eat that candy bar, what's happened? You don't have a candy bar and you don't have $1. But if you have $1 and you go buy a house and you replace that financing, now you have your same dollar back, but a financed house, and you can rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And this is how people
Right.
are able to take one small loan. Anybody can raise $100,000 one time. If you can't, guys, you're not trying hard enough, and build an entire portfolio. And that's what people do through rental properties. So, you were buying quite a bit of rental properties back in the day, and then you moved into note space. We'll get into that
Yeah,
in a second.
absolutely.
But essentially, let's talk about the difference between these young investors coming into the business. They all want to be doing wholesaling and flipping houses because big checks are sexy. Watching on TV, they're like, wow, I want to make a 50K check, and that's great. But what happens when the checks stop coming in, right? So you got to have some type of passive income.
Yeah, yeah. We flip from rentals to notes just because, I mean, the ease of it. I like to say this: a $60,000 house will never appreciate to $200,000. Depending on what part of the market you're in, but that's just the reality. It just doesn't happen like that. You don't see that massive appreciation on those lower end properties. But what you do is convert that, sell that property on owner financing, carry back a note to either investor or an owner occupant, process them through a loan originator, set up a third party servicing company, and basically clip interest just like banks do. Everybody understands that banks borrow money at a low interest rate and they loan it out to the market at a higher interest rate. They put that arbitrage in there, and that's essentially what we did is we shifted from rental properties into notes. And then once we got into the note game, then that expanded our business into, some serious deep pocket private lenders, institutional lenders, hedge funds. It opened up a whole nother avenue of business when we went to the paper game, right?
Right.
Once you're stacking paper and you got money backing it, it's a true asset. But I fell in love with it just because we did so well with them and we could create notes very quickly just by buying and selling houses. I mean, in the note game, it's all contingent about the financing. Same thing with the rental game. It's all contingent about the financing or if you just have cash to buy it. But when you take it a step further, you're taking a step back and saying, I'm now the lender on the property. I'm no longer the owner. So I don't have to carry the expenses, the deferred maintenance, the taxes, the insurance, all that stuff that goes in to those properties. I still have some rentals, but a very, very,
Right.
just like you, Connor, just a very few of them. But the note game is just huge. And, that's what really opened up my mind and also my business to private capital. And private capital is the backbone to any successful real estate investing company. So, and you
Right.
know that. You got guys that back you. We all joint venture on deals. So my biggest takeaway for you guys is to, build relationships with people that have deep pockets. I mean, go to Quest IRA events. Those people are there to learn how to invest their money. And it's a confidence thing. It's a you know what I mean, Connor? It's like, there's people there that have money and they're looking for the right people to help them deploy that capital, to bring them a deal, to partner with them, to joint venture with them.
Right. So let's step back just a second, and because we have a wide range of listeners on this channel, in many countries all across America, and I want to kind of cater to some of these new investors and explain to them, as well as experienced investors, as well as investors and agents and investors that want to become an agent after listening to podcasts. So when we talk about active income or transactional income, this is what a normal real estate agent does with a commission-based business. This is what a wholesaler does. You're trading your time, energy, money, and resources one time and getting paid once. And the problem is when you make a lot of money, which a lot of people do, they go from $100,000 to $250,000 to $500,000 as an agent or a really good wholesaler or a house flipper. They just increase their lifestyle. So they go from eating an 8-ounce steak to a 16-ounce steak. They go from getting the $5 bottle of wine to a $30 bottle of wine or even higher.
That's right.
And so you see what becomes a high net income, low net worth individual. You see this happen with doctors and attorneys all the time. So the reason why people never get ahead and never reach their financial freedom is because they're not working for passive income. And so, you still there? Looked like we lost you for a second. And so what happens next is you learn to be more experienced as an investor, as an entrepreneur, and you learn about passive income. Now you're trading your time, energy, and money and resources one time, but getting paid over and over and over incrementally. So you say you buy a house, fixed up, financed out, you're making $400 net cash flow after all your liabilities to own the property, and you get paid that every single month. And this, after layering these $400 a month payments up and up and up, allows you to create financial freedom because now you can cover your costs to live and then go on and live a financially free life. And later in this podcast, guys, we're going to talk about the EXP model and internet marketing and some of the ways that you can build an expanding cash flow model. But I just wanted to point that out because most people seem to have a problem understanding trading time energy once and getting paid over and over. So let's talk about the difference between rental properties and why you go into the note space, with tenants, toilets, termites, things that you can avoid. But it's just important to understand that the biggest regret I think I ever hear from experienced investors like you, big names all around DFW, all around the country, is they wish they would have kept more houses because this is what happens. All the time an investor buys a house, their whole intention is to fix it up, finance out, keep that property, hold it for long-term appreciation, write off the depreciation, have that cash flow coming in, and then they get to the end of the project, and then what happens is they're like, oh man, I got $50K in equity in here. Let me just put it on the MLS and see what happens. Then they get that big offer, that big check, and they can't resist it. They don't have the control, and they just sell the house and they get the check. And then 5 years later, that house that they sold for $125,000 is worth $250,000 or whatever it is. And they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have kept more. So guys, start keeping rental properties. That being said, let's move on to why someone would go from rentals into notes, because it's less headache, less time involved with the same amount of cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what we did. I mean, we had blocks of duplexes, we had rentals everywhere. And, the first time I bought a house with a seller carryback, so the seller financed my purchase. This was, that's why I can't wait till the next buyer's market, because the last buyer market is when I really tapped in and dialed in seller financing, because people couldn't sell their houses. They had houses just sitting and sitting and sitting. I was buying burned up houses cash and then financing them, and then I had some houses that were distressed that the sellers were carrying back notes for me, and I was selling them on wraps to investors, and I mean all kinds of stuff like that. So the inventory opens up, and when you fully understand how to control property with seller financing and leverage that debt, it's pretty darn amazing. But you have the choice to either to hold it as a rental, which you should hold rentals, or you can sell it on a note. And that's what we did. And we did it over and over and over and over and over. And it just basically takes the headache away from owning a property.
Right, right.
So you enjoy the cash flow. You actually get more cash flow because you're taking the taxes, insurance, maintenance, everything, and you're basically removing that from your net cash flow or your gross cash flow, and you're adding it to the homeowner that you're financing. So immediately you can take, really skinny cash flow deals between the market and what all your expenses are, and you sell it on a note, and you can most of the time double that net cash flow for a long period of time. And that's the great thing about doing 30-year amortized notes with with your buyers when you sell a property, is you get 30 years of interest. The first 15 years is all loaded with interest.
Right.
So it's just banking 101. It's just arbitrage 101. And once you see that and see how powerful it is over time for a portfolio, it really just opens up, more cash flow over time. And
right.
that's the biggest part of why people get into notes, because it's so passive and you just have that monthly income coming in.
Right. So everybody knows the lender is the best seat in the house. This is why, if you go to any major city, what does the largest skyscraper say on it? It's always the banks.
Banks.
Right?
Yeah.
And so essentially that's what you get to be. Instead of having the headaches of ownership of the property and having to deal with that. I mean, literally, I can't even tell you how many calls I've had. One time I had this guy, I'm not going to name his name. He's a 35-year-old attorney, very successful. They call me at like midnight, and he tells me that his light went out, and there's a vaulted ceiling in there. It's like a 12-foot ceiling. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, he wants me to go replace his light bulb. I sent him a picture of a step stool and a light bulb from Walmart or from Home Depot. And I said, figure it out. Right. Because it's just unbelievable. Right. And so I was like, man, like this is.
Yeah, they're very, very entitled.
It's just like.
Yeah, it's tough. I would suggest having a property manager.
right.
For sure.
Right. So guys, we're lucky to have Ian on here. He's one of the nation's elite investors. Some of the stuff he's going to share with you right now is very, very powerful. So if you haven't been in real estate for a long time, or you've been in for a long time, you got to pay attention to what we're talking about. So not only does Ian has he done a lot of owner financing, he was running a unique strategy, which is they would go in a reverse type of back-end model where they go find the buyer. You want to talk about this, where y'all would go find the buyer first, hold the money in escrow, and then find the house for them? So
basically what we would do is, reverse owner financing. Once you have a lot of inventory and you really crank your marketing up, you're going to get hundreds and hundreds of buyers that have capital, that have cash that they're looking to put down and move into a property. So what we would do is, once we'd have 3 or 4 properties that we were marketing, we'd blast our list, we'd blast marketing, and we would drive all those leads into basically our call center. And we had we had a brokerage and some agents that would pre-screen all those leads. And the people that had capital, $25,000 or more, we'd bring them into the office. We'd pre-screen them. We'd basically start the application process of them getting approved for a loan. Because even when you're doing seller carrybacks, you run them through a loan originator just as if they were going to apply for a conventional mortgage. So there's no difference in the two. We're complying with Dodd-Frank. We have our standards for underwriting. It's just like any other traditional type of loan application. And if they were serious about that application and serious that they had capital, we would basically go find them a property, buy it cash with our in-house private lending, and turn around and we would sell it on a wrap to the tenant buyer. And essentially we were able to crank that up and up and up. But our ability to buy was based off of how much money we could raise. And that's another thing about real estate is, as you grow and grow your business, you're always going to run into those challenges of kind of the operation and the capital expense. I would love to buy 15, 20 houses a month, but number one, it's a logistical nightmare. Number two, it's very, very, very capital intensive. Right. And to do that much work to not peel off cash flow off the deals is tough. And that's where most people get caught in. They get caught in, just like you were talking about earlier, just that transactional business. And you can build a business around it. You can build a brokerage, you can have agents closing business. But in order for you to scale that, it's a very massive capital outlay. And that's what I experienced back in 2013, 14, and 15 was I was trying to scale our owner financed business and buying and selling business. And I was having the biggest challenges because as we were trying to scale, my expenses just continued to grow with them. And that's what brokers and teams are experiencing all across the United States. And you know this as well as I do. If you're listening to this and you are a broker or you do run a team and you're thinking about scaling your business, it's like, how do you do it? Because traditionally, you have to spend more money on marketing. You got to spend more money on staff. You have to have people, boots on the ground that are taking big chunks of the commission. So it's really, really tough to traditionally build a team, scale it, and do a lot of volume, which
Right.
very few do. And the ones that do, they do a lot of volume. They figure it out, they get it rolling. But and that's the solution that basically EXP Realty provides.
Right, right. And we'll get into that, guys, because a lot of people have been contacting us all around the country. I mean, it seems like it's every week we're having top agents and brokers come to us and say, hey, we want to partner with you because we see what you guys are doing with EXP Realty and we like it. We'll talk about the 3 income stream model. We'll talk about the cash flow model here later because it is very, very powerful. I mean, how many of y'all listening right now want to be sticking signs in the yard or driving buyers around 20 years from now? That's just, it's not smart, right? You get into real estate for financial freedom, and that doesn't come from active income. It comes from passive income. Let's talk about one more before we start digging into some of the
Sure.
internet marketing. And because this is also some of y'all listening right now could be at Quest IRA, or you could be out there. You could be successful in other forms of business. You could be a powerhouse real estate agent or powerhouse wholesaler or rehabber, and you've built up a lot of money. Now you can lend that money, right? So lending is a very, very good way. So just like owner financing in a way, I mean, really it is lending, but let's just talk about straight being a private lender because there's a lot of these young wholesalers out there that want to start flipping. And a lot of y'all have the ability to become a hard money lender or a private money lender and just make completely passive income
Right.
because rentals, they're kind of passive, but they're not really passive. You have to deal with property management, long-term maintenance. I mean, you're dealing with tenants so if you're managing them on your own. So you're actually still really kind of working. It's not fully passive. And we'll talk about fully passive strategies right now because putting your money into play, you have what? A few hours into each deal, and then you're getting paid on that money. So what's your thoughts on lending?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hard money funds, some of my partners, we invest with Longhorn lending here locally. I have a couple private notes out. It's a great vehicle because not only am I constantly looking to raise private capital, but we're also looking for places to park capital. And private lending's great. And a self-directed Roth IRA. I mean, guys, listen, if money out in the marketplace and you don't understand the tax strategies and advantages with IRAs through Quest IRA or any of the other custodians, you're missing a huge boat, man. I mean, it's pretty darn amazing. And then Walter being able to, get you set up with inherited IRAs where, people pass away and you can have that basically take over that IRA and enjoy all those tax benefits that IRA has. So that's a whole nother world, and getting connected to people like Quest IRA is a great company to learn those strategies and also rub elbows with other people that are looking to deploy their capital. And you guys can joint venture on deals too. You could take $30,000, put it in here. You have another investor kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say pool cash, but you can go in first and second position, just like any other traditional lender would, 80% first and a whatever percent second, or 70-10 or 70-20 or something like that. There's a lot of different creative ways that you can place capital into real estate and enjoy that passive cash flow.
Right. It's just important to understand, guys, we're going to pound this into you today. We don't trade time for money. We trade money for money. So a lot of rehabbers, I mean, a lot of hard money lenders were rehabbers in the first place. And then they realized that they got good at raising money for their own deals. They can get a $10 million credit line. And so say you can raise money at 10% or 12%, but you got a bunch of rehabbers that need money and they can't raise the money. Well, you just put points on front, 3 points up front,
That's
origination
right.
fees, and now you're just brokering that money. And that's how a lot of people get into hard money loan because they realize a lot less headache, a lot less time, better lifestyle, more freedom, more time with
Cash
their
flow.
family. Right? Passive income. Right?
Cash flow.
Right? Okay, so I mean, I think they get it. So those are the 3 main ways that people are building passive income through the investing side. Rental properties, creating notes, and then just lending your money. So now let's jump into some of these strategies that you and I do quite a bit of on the internet, as well as we'll talk about EXP and the model that they have. So we've talked about active income, trading time energy once, getting paid once. We talked about passive income, trading time energy once, getting paid incrementally over and over. Let's talk about expanding income, because this is something almost nobody's talking about except highly elite entrepreneurs, which is you trade time and energy once, you create a passive income model, but it organically grows on itself, just like YouTube, right? You're watching us right now on a video. So what happens when you have 10 people sharing to 10 people, or 10 people sharing to those audiences? It doesn't grow very fast. But when you get to 100 people sharing to their audience and 1,000 people, it just grows out like a spider web. So you put energy and effort into it once, and it organically compounds, and you get what we call the hockey stick syndrome, which is exponential growth. We don't want linear growth. We want exponential growth. And this is how you're going to create massive wealth. So Ian's been on YouTube for a very long time. He runs a lot of his internet businesses off there. So let's talk about what you've seen over your years doing this.
Man, I mean, driving leads online is, as you know, it's tough for any type of business, no matter what you're in. But the power of the internet, I mean, we're all in the digital age now. So, I mean, everything is happening so fast, and the timing of everything is very critical in business as well. So, I mean, this, the more people that you can touch, the more that your message, cruises across the internet world. So it's interesting, because it's always a challenge. Even when I'm running pay-per-click advertising to my conversion site for buyer leads, some weeks I'm paying a little bit higher than $10 a click. Sometimes I'm paying $6 a click. So it's critical to have a internet presence in your business, regardless of what niche of real estate you're in. But driving leads, and that's the lifeblood of a sales business. And if you're in real estate, you know that you have to be driving leads on a daily basis. So
right.
The internet's super powerful, especially with what we're doing now.
Right. Let's talk about this, because what we're doing right now, we're filming a podcast. We're giving content to the community, to the consumer. If I was to do so over the next few weeks, who knows how long, this is going to get thousands of views, depending on where we put it on all the podcast channels, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, wherever it goes. Thousands of people are going to watch this over the next few weeks or a few months coming up. In order to do that, the way most people do it, without understanding leverage, is I would have to sit down with someone one-on-one and do it thousands of times. That is literally impossible to do. It would take years and years and years. There's only 365 days a year just to set up the appointments and to go through all this, where we can spend 1 hour, film this once, and get that message that we'd have one-on-one with someone out to thousands of people, and it just grows and grows and grows over time because the videos get shared around. So that's what you need to understand is leverage. Leveraging other people's capital, leveraging other people's time, leveraging the internet, leveraging social media. It's just incredibly powerful, right? All right, guys, we had a little glitch there with the recording, but we're back. We're talking about cash flow models. We went through talking about rentals, notes, owner financing, private lending. Then we talked about the power of the internet and leveraging social media. Very, very powerful. Let's talk about EXP Realty here, because now this opportunity is available for real estate agents. And there's a few companies out there that have been around for a long time, and they have small profit sharing models, and they allow this passive income model. But now, with what EXP is giving us with our revenue share model and the ability to build a team across state lines and really expand and get those handcuffs off, those geographical restricted handcuffs off, people are able to change their life. And they're able to build up through the 3 income stream model, equity in the company alongside their commission-based model, but also a passive income model, which is very, very important, because what happens if you get sick, or what happens if you get hurt, or what happens if you have to take care of a sick family member, which we've seen this over and over all across the country. Lives are being changed because agents can now build passive income. What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, it's pretty darn amazing. EXP Realty is the game changer. The vision of Glenn Sanford back in 2009. He was a tech entrepreneur. He ran a big team that set $60 million a year in sales. He's a lead generation expert. He saw a lot of flaws in the old brick and mortar real estate model. He saw that agents weren't being compensated like he felt they should. They had no retirement plan. They had no cash flow in their business. They were just on a hamster wheel. And then when the crash hit, that was when it got real serious, because, a lot of people were, this, it weeded out a lot of people in the business. And it really put a perspective to where we are in our world. 2009, if you think back, that's almost a decade ago. That's right when the iPhone came out. So for Glenn Sanford to have a vision of a cloud-based real estate brokerage, over a decade ago, and put it in play during the worst crash in history. So here we are 10 years later, 9 years later, and the company has exploded from, 800 agents in 2015 to 10,000 agents. And we're doing this through getting connected through technology.
Right.
So it's incredible that what this platform, basically it's a technology platform that has changed the way that agents are being compensated. Not only is there technology to help you grow your sales business, you can invest in the company and become a shareholder in the company and get awarded and purchase. And then you can also build a revenue share team across, the entire United States. And that's what's so powerful about this,
Right.
because you can build a brokerage underneath EXP Realty and not hold a broker's license.
Right.
How powerful is that, Connor?
Oh, it's amazing. This company is absolutely amazing. When we were at the shareholder event, we got to actually meet these executives. We got to meet Glenn Sanford, and we'll talk about that here real quick, because he created this company for retention. And so a lot of you that are listening right now are boutique broker owners. You run teams of 10 to 30 agents, and everybody knows there's two parts of building any business. There's the attraction and the recruiting of the agents or the employees to the company, and then the retention, right? Because
the training and support, that's retention.
Right, because when agents come in and then they leave, it's demoralizing and it's very, very stressful for that broker, right? Because they spend all these resources and time and energy getting them there, and then they leave 6 months later and they bounce around. But what happened with the EXP model, and the reason why he created it this way, is because the equity program and the cash flow. So when you have equity in a company and you have a cash flow model building up, you're never going to leave if it gets to a point where you're having some type of stake that have kind of risen up inside your back office, right? So I think it's important to understand that you can't just work for active income. You have to start building passive income as a real estate agent. I mean, investors understand this. That's why investors are investors. But now agents have this opportunity to do so.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So, I mean, just since you've been on, I mean, we've gone into 13 additional states. My team is in 21 states in Canada. We're building teams all across the United States. My sponsor and I are flying up to Canada to our Canadian partners that we met when we were in Mexico. And that's the thing that people don't understand is being in the cloud is so powerful, because once again, we're in the digital age. To be able to connect to our office from anywhere on the planet in just a split second, I mean, who can say that if they're with a brick and mortar office? I mean, when you're at your house, let's say you have a 15, 20-minute commute to get to your office and you hit traffic or there's a wreck or something, like, that's just the old way of doing business. I mean, I'm not saying that brick and mortar real estate offices are going to disappear. I believe there has to be space available, but I believe that they're going to have a very, very big challenge with those big companies that have massive amounts of brick and mortar square footage in the United States. Because if you think about how consumers are dominating the game, right? Real estate agents and brokers are having to chase and get in front of consumers on the web. And back to the social media thing, if you don't have a presence on the web of your business and what you do, of how you can, serve customers in your community, you're behind the eight ball, because information is being passed so fast, and we have to react to technology and how consumers are consuming technology. Because, back up 50 years, back in the old days, you would have to drive into a brick and mortar office. The data was controlled by the broker. The agent would flip through a book of listings and say, hey, let's talk about these properties. Let's go look at them, right? And then the birth of the internet, and then the way that data is being syndicated now. So the consumers have everything in the palm of their hand. I don't know about you guys, but these devices control our lives. We run our businesses off these devices. I mean, everybody has this device either in their pocket or 2 feet from their head 24 hours a day. So if you think about how consumers have the power, so what EXP Realty has done is they provided a solution for brokers, teams, and agents to be able to eliminate all those costs and then also participate in the revenue and the growth of the company.
Right.
And there's been nothing like it. And that's why these top companies are really looking at EXP. And once they run the numbers, they realize, they're like, oh my gosh, like this is the solution that we've been looking for. I mean, after we did our Zoom call last night, Jonathan Dupree in Louisiana, I mean, this guy has 120 agents. They do over 1,400 transactions a year. He ran Keller offices. They started their own company. They were 3 years into it. And he found out that one of his business partners was terminally ill. And that was when he realized I had to make a decision. He had to make that decision. And that's when he basically came to terms with what his business looked like in his books. They were having challenges and they needed solutions. So once they saw the EXP Realty model, they ran the numbers. It blew their mind. and they just onboarded 60 agents. And this is, the number 4 in production in that market. They're just a massive, massive asset to that community. So immediately they were able to see where they could save so much money, and then they can't wait to get out of their leases. I mean, they still have space to run out of, but all the top producers, and he was saying that there's guys in there that do 100 million, 50 million, 60 million, 30 million. He sat down with each and every one of them, and they ran the numbers, and their eyes were just so big because they really saw where they could save a lot of money, put a lot of money back in their own pocket, and not only that, have a strategy and a plan to exit the business. Because we're seeing more and more people when I do lunch and learns, when I travel around the country, that were Remax owners, that were Century 21 owners, that were boutique owners. Now they're coming forward with their stories, and they're telling us, hey, I owned this franchise for 19 years. I was 600 grand in the hole.
Right.
Could barely even keep my head above water. And we're hearing this over and over and over. Hey, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those companies that pioneered the way.
Right.
But if you think about when the birth of the internet happened to the digital age we're in now, none of those big box brokerages innovated. We're in a tech-driven world now and driven by the consumer. So EXP Realty is a response to how the consumer and how our entire industry, not only our industry, the hotel industry, obviously Blockbuster, Netflix, the entertainment industry. It's a solution for real estate agents to be compensated in a different way, like they have never been before, and create that exit strategy. So it's so powerful.
Well, I think people need to slow down and look at this. As everybody knows my story, I didn't want to slow down and look at it for over a year. It was a huge mistake on my part, but now you're seeing industry leaders not just partnering with our team, like they're coming into our team left and right, but you're seeing top industry leaders going into other teams all around the country. Teams are building out because the monkey's out the bag, right?
And they're all going one place, right?
Well, they're all coming one place.
That's what you noticed.
I mean, it's like, guys, look, if you were, say you're watching the NFL and you started watching top quarterbacks and top running backs leaving to go to some new league, the PFL or professional football league or something else, and you're not going to say, hey, what's going on? Let me spend an hour of my time to sit down with somebody who actually knows, who's on the inside, who knows what's going on and can explain it to you. So there's agents that won't even take the time to look at this. This is an incredible opportunity for them and their future and their families, because everything's moving towards the elimination of inventory models and the elimination of brick and mortar. And so let's just focus, because some people haven't really heard of EXP. So what EXP is this a cloud-based brokerage, and it's focused around the agent, where all the other companies that have come before for forever are franchise models focused around the franchise owner and not the agent, and they're focused around a brick and mortar model. So Ian just brought up, I think we're going in, once they fully onboard, we'll be in, I've gone into 13 states and I think right around 4 months. And it's just incredible, because if I was to do that with any other company that has a brick and mortar model, what would I have to do? I'd have to stop my business. I'd have to hop on a plane, pay for the ticket, go get a hotel, spend a week there, drive around the area, research the area, figure out where I want to hold my brick and mortar operation, sign a 3 to 5 year lease with hundreds of thousands of dollars of long-term liabilities on my credit weighing down on me. I'd have to buy the franchise, get access. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It costs a fortune.
The expenses just go on and on and on and on and on. And that's how powerful EXP is. It allows you to plug right into the platform for $50 a month and be able to launch any market in the United States.
Or in Canada.
Super crazy powerful.
Ian's now got a company that he now has agents in multiple countries for $50 a month. Think about that, right?
Yeah.
It just hasn't existed. So the other thing that the cloud-based technology allows us to do is, it's the reason why EXP is also different than other companies is no longer do these boutique brokers that if you're working at one of these shops, say you had 30, 40 agents that were at your little brokerage, what do you have to do to get that broker's attention? You have to fight over those other 30, 40 agents. You have to go down to the office. You have to call into the helpline or whatever you're going to do. And that's too demanding on that broker. So if you guys are brokers right now, pay close attention to this, because what's happening now is if you can come into EXP, you can decrease your liability, because a lot of them, in fact, we had a broker come on just recently. He came in under his regular real estate license because he didn't want to have the liability of being a broker. And also, you're going to free up your time, because now, instead of all these agents trying to talk to one broker, you have 200 paid employees in the cloud handling all this for them. Transaction team, tech outpost, agent services. I mean, accounting, it's just a more efficient model. And you're seeing people being able to log on. It doesn't matter if you're in Florida or Alaska or even halfway across the world in Asia, right? You can still log on and run your business. And that's what's allowing people to travel and have the freedom. It's the same reason that all you young wholesalers out there, why people would go from wholesaling to virtual wholesaling, right? Everything is going to a leaner, cleaner model because less overhead means higher profits, and that's what entrepreneurs get in the business for. So,
That's right.
I
Yeah, and
mean,
that's why you get it. And that's the thing is why most agents become brokers is why, because you want to put agents underneath you for cash flow.
right.
That's essentially what you do. And then there's only certain ways you can do that. Once you get your broker license, you can either go independent, which is like a boutique, which you got to create all your own training, system support, admin, accounting. You got to create the whole box yourself, or you buy into a franchise, which, like I said, the old models, they were great, 50 years ago up until now, but the digital age of technology has completely disrupted all these industries. And now we're seeing it in real estate. And EXP Realty is a solution for agents, teams, and brokers. So it's a seamless process to come in and run your business, keep your own branding, and now you have an incentive to help your agents grow. So now like just Jonathan looking at 120 agents, none of those agents owned anything in his company.
Right.
So he went and sat down with every single one of them and told him what he was thinking and asked them what they wanted. And 60 of the top producers, the whole top half, said, you know what, that's a great plan. Let's do it. So now not only are they partnering together, they're partnering with my team and EXP Realty all across the United States. It's national collaboration. I mean, Connor, think about it. Who do you know in Seattle? Who do you know in Kansas? Who do you know in Miami? Who
Right.
do you know in Los Angeles, Dallas, Oklahoma City? The list just goes on and on and on and on. So agents and teams and brokers are partnering in this new technology platform all across the United States. It's the biggest disruption in real estate brokerage in the last 25 years.
Right. Like, think
So
about
I'm just
this.
glad to be a part of it, and we're looking for more people to partner with, and we're having a blast.
Right, right. So, guys, no longer are you geographically restricted. So, someone in Florida can partner with us just as easily as someone in Dallas. You don't have to now sit down in front of someone face to face to run your business. I mean, look, Ian and I are working over right now over Skype. I have virtual assistants in the Philippines that work for us, in Belarus. It's just the way things are moving. I mean, we talked about Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, Amazon. Airbnb had more doors than any hotel chain out there, but they don't own a single property. Same thing with Uber. You're seeing this happen. These brick and mortar companies go down all over the place. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but when I was in Houston and in San Antonio and in Dallas now, I've seen Toys R Us closing down stores. How are they going to compete against an internet company?
They didn't innovate. They could have done so many things with all that square footage, and they just sat back on their billions of dollars of revenue from 5 decades ago. Or I haven't done the research on exactly when Toys R Us started, but they're just another example of big box business that didn't evolve. And I've heard Gary Vee say it. The biggest mistake they did was they let Amazon sell toys on their behalf because they didn't believe in the internet.
Right.
No one did. No one knew this was going to happen. Same thing with EXP Realty. No one knew that the early adopters and how people were going to respond to this platform was going to work for them. They didn't understand it was going to take off like a hockey stick. So one of the things that I asked, agents is, what type of money are you getting in return from the dollars you're paying into your brokerage? Are you getting a return on those dollars? And they just kind of look at me like, no, it's just my fees I'm paying into. It's like, okay, well, I mean, if you're with a franchise, you're most likely paying a royalty fee, 3%, something like that into that brokerage, and you're never going to see a return on those dollars.
Right.
So where will you be in the next 10 years if you continue to do exactly what you're doing today? Well, you're going to have the same hamster wheel commission business if you don't build anything. And that's what EXP does. It allows you to build an asset in the company through the stock acquisition model, the direct purchase. You can take 5% of your gross commission and you can buy stock at a 20% discount. If you sell 100 houses a year, you have 100 line items of ownership in the company.
Right.
So we are a growing company. We're having a great time doing it too. Same thing with revenue share. Revenue share is basically based off of referrals. So everyone understands referrals, right? You have a agent in California, you're in Texas. I call that agent and say, hey, I have a referral for you. They're excited. They get a free lead. They close that business. Now the company we will get paid a referral fee. So it's the same thing with EXP and growing your business, growing your band. Let's say I talk to that same agent in California and I show them the EXP model. They say, great, I want to be able to plug into this technology platform, and I sponsor them into EXP. Now, every time they close a transaction, EXP is going to pay me a slither of company dollar. We call that revenue share. And it's technically a referral fee, but they're going to continue to, EXP is going to pay me a slither out of every single closing until they cap.
Right.
And that's the neat part about this. And we have partners all across the United States that we're receiving revenue share referral income off multiple levels of agents across the United States. And that's that expanding duplication model that we're talking about.
Right.
Because agent knows other agents who know other agents, and we all want to win. We all want to make money together.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. It's an incredible opportunity for people right now, and that's why, think about it. So I could not have grown my business by 50% last month if I didn't have the ability to go into other states. So I have agents contacting me, brokers contacting me from other states saying, "I saw you online. I didn't know this existed." Just like I didn't know, just like Ian didn't know. They sit down with us, we show them the model, and we end up partnering with them. And guys, this opportunity is for you right now. If you want to sit down with us and schedule an appointment, we can do that. But
yeah, just reach out.
Ian's company grew by over, what was it, 20+% last month? I mean,
20%, yeah.
It's just, where are you going to get this type of growth? Where are you going to get this type of opportunity? So what do you think, when it comes down to the software and all the trainings and programs that we get, like Conversion and Commissions Inc., the reason why they can give us such good training and so many options and so many different types of robust lead generation platforms is because we don't have the overhead of a brick and mortar, which means if you don't have that wasted expense on a dinosaur model, you can throw it into the agent, which is what EXP is, which is focused around the agent and the agent's success. And now they help us by giving us Conversion, which is a very, very, and I guess what they changed the name to KV Core?
KV Core. It's the new updated version.
Right. So it's incredible. Yeah. So let's talk about how you have used KV Core in your business to generate a lot of buyers leads and explode what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you get Conversion as a part of your tech package, along with a dozen other third-party tools and software and the different things the company has gone out, basically vendors. And that's what EXP does, is not only are they investing in their own technology, their own proprietary technology, they're also partnering with a lot of third-party companies to provide value to the agents and brokers. So Conversion is one of the platforms. If you went out and bought Conversion today, it cost you about $1,000 to get it set up, to get a subscription to it. Then you got to sign the IDX agreement with your MLS board to feed your Conversion dashboard, so you have real MLS listings. And then you have that entire backend system that's already built out, split tested, ready to rock. As soon as a lead hits it, the system kicks out and it starts communicating with that prospect on your behalf. But I mean, it comes with our tech package of $50 a month. And what I do is I drive traffic off of Google and Facebook into the dashboard. And, I refer a lot of those leads out. I have a mortgage broker that I'm working with to help pre-screen those leads that I can refer to. Obviously, I let everybody know they can choose. They should go talk to multiple mortgage brokers. It's just my referred lender. I let them know that up front when I do talk to them, let them know that I'm licensed, who I'm with, and that they have the choice to choose whoever their lender is. And the people that, end up coming through us and doing that, I can write referral fees out to the other agents on our team, but I kind of cherry pick the best ones. I mean, I have a $475,000 new construction in escrow, and they're paying out 6%. So,
right.
It's that's how I'm using Conversion. And there's tons of different ways that you can drive traffic into Conversion, but it's a very, very robust system to help you generate more leads to close more business.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of y'all listening to this that are agents are using Conversion right now, probably at your current brokerage, but you're having to pay for it out of pocket. I mean, we're seeing people come into EXP just for this reason alone, that they're paying hundreds of dollars a month, $500 a month. They can just come over here for $50 a month. If you do the simple math, that's 10x, right? So you can save 10 years of costs. It's incredible. So also, the other interesting thing that we have is, so it's hard to see it without visually seeing it. We'll probably put a little video underneath this podcast so that you can go check out what we mean by the cloud-based brokerage. So we literally have a virtual office built out in the sky, in the world somewhere. We don't know where it's in the clouds, right?
In the cloud.
And it's essentially built like the video game The Sims, or it's a video game, and everybody's represented physically by a character in the world, but you can log onto your internet wherever you're at and go in and get help from employees that are working in their live time, raising their family at home. Think about this. For people who have children that they need to be there to take care of, they can now raise their children. I mean, think about that.
Everybody's seen that.
Changing families,
right?
It's changing families. It's helping families spend more time together, and that's what's an incredible blessing about this company.
That's what we're hearing over and over and over. It's life changing to be able to roll your business into EXP and eliminate tons and tons of expenses. But the expansion model, selling more houses, connecting with the ownership opportunities in the company, there's just nothing like it. That's the thing. The game has been changed on how agents are being compensated. So if you're licensed, you should definitely spend some time to look at it and see if it could be a solution for you as well.
Right.
But back to what I was trying not to jump in there, but everybody's seen the movie Avatar, right? Right? They plug into this whole Avatar world. That's essentially what our cloud campus is. It's software that you download, you run the software, you jump in real time, and you're connected to hundreds of people all across the United States. The collaboration is basically, you can't even imagine. It's like going to the National Association of Realtors convention every year and rubbing elbows with the top CEOs and the top business builders and the top agents and teams and brokers across the entire United States. And we have that in EXP Realty. And Brad Anderson talks about it quite a bit because he is an educator. He came from Zillow Academy. He's been educating in the space for 3 decades, and listening to him talk about, how EXP Realty is pioneering the game. I mean, technology is changing our world, and if you're not plugged into it, you are going to get left behind.
Right. So let's go back and kind of catch up in the cash flow model and talk about this, because we talked about earlier how this is an expanding cash flow model. So if you're a normal broker out there and you run a boutique shop and you've got 20 agents in your office, how do you go from 20 to 21 to 22 to 3 to 4? You yourself have to go build and recruit in the office. You have to go and find these agents. You have to spend your time, energy, and resources. But because at EXP, the way it's set up, when you start running a referral business, like Ian explained before, you can bring in an agent from California, you can bring in an agent from Florida, and you can work together with no different than you would if they were in your local city. So as these agents come in, we're giving them opportunity to now be their own business owner underneath your revenue share organization. So if they want to go out and build their team, which they do, because most agents that you talk to want to become a broker someday and want to build a team and have 50 agents selling for them, that's what we're giving them opportunity to do. But now they're going to go build their team as well. So when they build their team, as they build their team and they're selling houses, those houses you're getting a referral fee on. So you're able to build a passive income model that's growing organically. So you put time, energy, and effort into it once, growing your company the same as a normal brokerage, but we're doing it as a revenue share sponsor through this model. And now it starts to grow on its own. And that's what's incredibly powerful. It's just like YouTube. And you start to see this hockey stick exponential growth if you're able to do and have success at building your revenue share organization.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest challenges we've heard brokers say is there is growth. Right? We had a broker come up to us at a big event that we sponsored and we're a vendor at, and he was just like, man, it's like I can't get past 30 agents. And me and you kind of look at each other. I mean, because I can say it now. I have over 100 agents across 21 states, and I don't even hold a broker license. That's the power of technology, and that's the power of this business model, is strategically partnering with agents, teams, brokers all across the United States. And he's looking at EXP. Obviously, he's got some internal things that he's trying to figure out with some partners about which direction they want to go. He's super attracted to the model. He sees it. It's the future. I mean, I'm hearing that, Kyle Handy. I mean, all the different brokers and teams that we've talked to have exploded their teams. I mean, Brent Gove in Sacramento, California, exploded his team across the United States. It blew his mind how fast. Scott and Tracy Lewis, Pat Hayes. I mean, these teams, are partnering all across the United States. They're all coming to one place. They're all coming to EXP.
Right.
That's the neat part. It's not like these top producers are going to the different old brokerages. Everyone's leaving the old brokerages. Top industry professionals. I mean, and our executive staff and board of directors and agent advisory councils is the top 1% of all the big companies in the United States. They've all partnered and come to EXP.
Right. And the guys, we're in good hands here. The company's run by some incredible individuals. I was fortunate enough to meet some of them at the Vegas shareholder event. We got, Mary Francis, Jason Gessing, Vicky Bartholomew. It made me feel a lot better to get
Glenn
to meet
Sanford. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
Of course, Glenn. Guys.
Yeah, I was recognized as one of the top 100 most influential on the planet in real estate.
Right. All you hear is good things about him. I mean, everyone's like, man, this guy.
He's such a great guy.
He knew what he's doing when he said it. Like, this company's not new. That's what I think people like. I think because the massive success and the rapid growth that everybody's seeing right now, somehow they just think it just stumbled on like this year. It's been around
almost a decade in.
Right.
Through the worst real estate crash in history.
Right. So,
here we are.
But the reason why it's growing so fast now is because the monkey's out the bag. How great a company it is. let's look at facts. 3 income stream model versus 1 income stream model. I mean, guys, I'm going to try
Not
to.
only one income stream model, but all those old models is all contingent on the agent. They're sucking as many dollars as they can out of the agent, and the agent isn't getting anything in return.
Right.
So
Like,
EXP is a wealth redistribution model. So think about these big brokerages, the big box ones that have several $100 million of expenses just on their brick and mortar buildings. EXP eliminated that. They're partnering with the agent and they're redistributing the revenue back to the agents right off the top.
right.
That's incredible.
Right.
There's no other company doing that. That's why so many people see the value in here, because they've never experienced that before. To be an owner in the company, to share in the revenue, to be incentivized to grow the company.
Right. We'll talk about revenue share versus profit share in a second, but this is very important to understand. I'm going to show you how easy it is to understand this. So the average multimillionaire, they say, has 7 different income streams. Most successful people have multiple streams of income, not just income streams, but passive income. So even my dog knows, if I give him 3 cookies, it's better than 1 cookie, right? It's that easy to understand it. And I have to explain it to people like that because
I love your analogies.
I mean, it's true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so what's going on with a lot of other companies, and we're not going to name names, but they run off a profit split, right? Because they have brick and mortar, they are giving a residual model and a passive income model, but they have to do a lot more to make the same amount of money because they're having to take out fees and expenses. So let's talk about the revenue share versus the profit share and what's the difference between the two.
So the difference between the two, profit share is basically a distribution of profits after expenses. So the National Association of Realtors, this is all public knowledge that most brokerages operate a 4% net profit. I mean, think about that, $100 million in revenue, 4%, $4 million in profit, and then you divide that in half. But most market centers and brick and mortar franchises aren't running those types of numbers. I mean, yeah, that market center will do a massive amount of closings, but by the time they distribute the profit back to the agents, it's a fraction of what the revenue is. So profit share is a distribution of money that is paid after expenses, brick and mortar leases, insurance, taxes, everything, all the employees, all the vendor stuff you got to keep the refrigerator full and the coffee hot, and then the lights, utilities. We're talking about massive overhead. $20, $30, $40, $60,000 a month that has to go out just to cover the cost of the brick and mortar. And then they basically take the net profit, then they distribute that out. So EXP pays revenue off the top. So our split, that 20% that we pull as a agent is paying into their cap, we're getting distributions out of revenue off the top. So it's very transparent. That's one of the core values that I love most about the company is transparency. You can go to expworldholdings.com and you can look at our balance sheet. I mean, everything is 100% transparent. We know exactly where all the numbers and all the money is flowing. And that's important because if you don't know where the money is flowing out of a brokerage, you're not a part of that. You may be able to know and control your own team and your own personal deal. But when you're paying into a brokerage expecting something back, there's no transparency. You have no idea if there will be a profit or not. That's why EXP, people see this model, they're like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I've been looking for this. This is the solution for my business and my agents and my team and the people that I know. So that's the difference. Revenue off the top, it's very, very transparent. We know exactly how much we will be distributed with our referral partners across the United States. So everyone knows exactly the numbers. There is no guess.
I mean, it's very simple, guys. If you had some of your partners in your team there, would y'all rather split the full pizza? Or would you rather split one slice? And that's the difference, right? We're splitting a larger piece. And so, I don't know anybody on planet Earth that would say, I want to trade the same amount of energy, same amount of time, same amount of resources for less than more. So if you go to a child and you're like, hey, I want you to go mow 50 yards, and I'm going to pay you $500. But you can go mow 50 yards over here in this other neighborhood, and I'm going to pay you 5,000 or just some random number.
$50 a yard.
Who would work and put the same effort out for less income? It makes no sense. And I mean, it just drives me insane because I want to show this to as many agents as possible because we literally have the cure for cancer for them. We have how many people have we brought on to our team here that were 100% shops and they're like, look, I don't want to end up like my broker who's 75 years old, still putting signs in the yard, still driving buyers around and still running an office. you get into real estate for financial freedom, and financial freedom comes from cash flow and passive income,
Right.
not from active income.
The biggest thing that we hear from people that are at, 100% shops, I was at a 100% shop, and which is interesting because actually EXP pays out 80%. I mean, your split is 80% to 100% commission, but I say it's 100% plus because yes, I'm paying my 80-20 split, but I receive more in revenue share and stock than what I've paid into the company. So what's my split? It's a lot more than 100%. And that's just my numbers. We're not talking about Pat Hayes' numbers or Scott or Rob or Gene or these guys that have these massive teams. I mean, it would blow your mind. But that's the thing about it is when you're a high level producer and you're paying a lot into one brokerage, you're not seeing a return on those dollars. So that's what EXP is. It's a solution for you to grow an asset with the company and create an exit strategy over time.
Right.
So here's a way to look at your business right now. Think about this. Where do you want to go? If you don't make any changes, all you got to do is just look at the past 5 years, and that'll basically lay out the next 5 years.
Right.
So if you don't change the trajectory of your business, you're going to be right where you are today. And a lot of agents say, oh, I'm going to start buying rentals. And I say, okay, how many have you bought in the last 5 years? Well, I haven't bought any. So that, I mean, I'm going to basically make a safe assumption that if you keep on the road you're on right now, you're going to be in the same spot you are today. And that's what I saw with EXP. I was with a 100% shop and I saw this. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a way to explode my balance sheet, right? I mean, every time I close a transaction, I'm archiving a stock asset on my balance sheet. Every time I plug another agent into the company, I now have revenue share that I'm adding to my balance sheet, and it's just growing and growing and growing because we're connecting to people all over the country. And it's just so powerful. It's an expansion model in real estate brokerage driven by technology, and we're seeing a massive amount of people jump onto this platform, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. So we could talk about this in circles for days.
So I put a ton of I've done a ton of speeches all around the country. You know, I talk about this, why entrepreneurs struggle and why they fail, because they're focused on the front end costs versus the back end result, right? So it's the same thing why, you know, a contractor, a new investor would say, oh, this contractor I met off Craigslist is going to do the job for $5,000, but this really good contractor who's going to do the job really well and I don't have to worry about will do it for $7,000. But they make their decision based on cost. And if you make decisions based on cost and not quality and not production, guys, you're going to fail over and over and over, or you're going to have a lot more headaches at least. So that's the same thing that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of these 100% shop agents. They're blinded by, you know, the fact that they get 100%, and when EXP or some of these other companies are 80-20, but they can't get over that hump. But when you add in the equity and you add in the cash flow, you add in all the programs and benefits that we get, I mean, it's just a no-brainer when you really think about it, right? So you can't be focused on so EXP is set on an 80-20 split with a 16K cap. Let's talk about that real quick, and then we'll go in and we'll talk about the fees to be in the company, because the reason why they're so low is, once again, we don't have to pay for the brick and mortar costs.
Brick and mortar, yeah. So we're just a technology brokerage. I mean, think about that. I mean, we are a national brokerage. We actually are the largest by geography in the United States. We have grown through MLSs. We didn't grow through brick and mortar franchises. So once we're licensed in a state, we are now open in that state. We become, we basically, our fee to entry in a new state is basically becoming a board member. So that's several $100s is basically how we expand in the state, into markets. So we're in, 47 states across the United States. I believe we just went into South Dakota, so that would make us like 48 plus Canada.
And Carolina, and, North Carolina.
For $50 a month, we can operate our business in all those states with one cap. So if you have multiple state licenses and you want to do business in multiple states, you just pay one cap. If you want a full technology package in those states, you'll have to pay an additional $50 to have the full technology conversion and IDX and all that. But to think about that, I can partner with real estate agents, brokers, and teams across the United States, and we don't have any geographical restrictions. So not only can I expand my personal business in those states, but I can also expand a revenue share team, that people that I connect to the company as well, for $50 a month. So it's 80-20 split. There's a $420 university fee that's taken out of your first closing of the year, and that is for the training and support that you get in the cloud for the live trainings. There's a $30 E&O that's capped at 17 transactions. So for those of you that are massive producers, you have a $16,000 cap. Once you hit that cap, the company awards you with stock, Then once you go past that, we have an Icon agent program, which is 20 transactions where you pay in the $250 transaction fee. So once you cap, you flip to 100% commission.
Right.
Right. And for the next 20 transactions, which is a $5,000 cap, now you've hit the qualification of Icon. Now you submit an application to the company, they review it. If you're a cultural fit and agree to the terms, which is basically attending the shareholder meeting, the national convention, and giving back in the cloud and doing trainings to the rest of the company, now you've qualified for Icon. At that point, you will receive your entire $16,000 back in company stock.
Right.
So at that point, what was your split? Right? You paid into the company. You've paid the $16,000. You paid the $5,000. You received your $16,000 back in company stock. You have a real asset there, real value there. So at that point, you've only paid in, $5,000 plus the E&O fees. But
right.
To someone that does 100 transactions a year, that's pennies.
Right. Well, it all comes down to ego. We know this. The reason why someone won't slow down to actually look at this, and guys, don't be one of the people like me out there in the beginning when people approach me, and I'd say, yeah, I've looked at it. It's good. I know all about EXP. I didn't know what I was doing. When someone's busy and you approach someone with a new opportunity, throw that shiny squirrel on them. You put anxiety on their plate, and the natural human response is to push it away as fast as possible. Guys, if you're a real estate agent right now or a broker around the country, this is the fastest growing company in the history of real estate. We just hit 10,000 agents faster. Ian just said it's got the largest footprint. We have a 3 income stream model. We're based in the cloud. We're based around the agent. We're not based around a franchise brick and mortar. Why are you not slowing down to look at this? If you consider yourselves a serious real estate entrepreneur, if you really slow down and say, yes, I believe I'm a serious entrepreneur, and you're not willing to take an hour to unobjectively, without skepticism and criticism, look at this model, put pen to paper, run the numbers, look at what you're getting, look at the opportunity, how could you possibly say you're a serious entrepreneur? Because a lot of y'all are not looking at it. You said you're looking at it. You said you heard about it because you had someone passingly talk to you about it at an REI club or at a real estate agent expo or something like that.
Look at your balance sheet. Look at this. Look at it as a business decision.
Look at the numbers. All I want to do is say, sit down with us. Show us your business model. Show us the numbers. We will put it on paper side by side, and we'll compare the two. And so I've gone around the country, right, and I've talked to a lot of agents, a lot of different brokers, and I've given the open challenge. I'm like, guys, show me a model that is better than this, and I'll come over, right? But that hasn't happened. And not only that, not only has it not happened, very few people have even tried. And to be honest, the few that have looks like they're coming in to EXP, right? So all I want to do is say, take the time to slow this down for you and your family. Take a look at it unobjectively. And if it's not a fit for you, then go about doing a business. But what if it is? What if this could change your business? You're missing an opportunity possibly, right? So it's very, very powerful.
Well said, Connor.
I just want, man, look, everybody.
I know you're passionate about it. I am too, man. And that's the thing is, every single day we're talking to real estate agents. We all have a common goal. We all want to grow our businesses. We want to live a happy, joyful life, right? We want to feel abundance in our life. And if you don't build an asset and build equity and build an exit plan, then you're going to be on that hamster wheel forever. And that's the big takeaway here.
Right. How many, everywhere I go and talk to EXP agents, all I hear is it changed my life, right? And here are some real case studies. You're going to see a podcast coming out here in just a few days from a top real estate agent here in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, which is one of the toughest markets in the country right now because our inventory levels are so low. They're coming from a 100% shop, and they're going to tell their story because of family issues and unfortunate illness in the family, and they had to take time out to take care of their family, which everyone would do. But what happens when you have active income and you stop working, you stop throwing time and energy at it, your income drops immediately, if completely gone at all, completely eliminated for 100%, right? Also, what happened, some EXP agents, top producing agents out of Houston, they were down there, they built their revenue share model, they had a decent amount of cash flow coming in. And what happened was the hurricanes shut down their business. They had a bunch of houses held up in escrow that they couldn't get closed. What would you do right now if you're a broker right now and all the houses that you had in escrow that you were acquiring that you needed to get closed so that you could pay your massive bill to keep the lights on, to keep the office going next month, just got frozen? How are you going to keep going? What happens if you get sick yourself? What happens if you get hit in a car wreck, right? Ask yourself this. what would happen to you right now today? All you guys that are making 100, 200, 300 grand a year through active income, congratulations, guys. You know, that's great. But what would happen if that disappeared and your ability to earn that income disappeared right now? What would your life look like? And that's why this is so important. That's why we're out here trying to get this message out to the communities all around the country. I mean, we've covered quite a bit today. We've gone over, a lot of the different cash flow models, why we think these expanding income models are great, why we think this company is great. You have anything you want to talk about, Ian, right now, or say to the listeners, other than, hey, we're here?
Yeah. Hey, man. I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things. If you're looking to build more assets, build more cash flow on your balance sheet, you're licensed. Hey, reach out to us. Let's have a conversation. I mean, we're investors. I do big fix and flips. Connor does the same thing, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, we talk about all the challenges that we have in the business. We both sell real estate. That's the thing. We are real estate guys. We've been around long enough to know, like, hey, man, this is a challenging business. But if you don't position yourself to build for yourself, a business within the business, it's kind of tough. I mean, everybody has their niches, but at the end of the day, I don't think most people are really working on an exit strategy. So if you are licensed, I mean, you just got to take a look at this. This is just, it's a solution.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. So like I said, we can talk about this thing for hours in circles, man. So 9 ways to noon, whatever little
right.
Analogy you want to toss out there. But yeah.
So if you're an investor, guys, and you're wholesaling and flipping houses, that should be that active income as a bridge to get to rentals and notes and lending, right? And if you're an agent and you're selling houses just for a commission-based model, trading time energy one time to get paid one time, I mean, you may as well just create a job for yourself, because that's not why people get into real estate. So guys, focus on the passive income. It's going to change your life. It changed my life. It changed Ian's life. It changed all our friends that are successful entrepreneurs' lives that are in the business with us,
Right.
that have actually made it out of the rat race. And if you want to reach out to us and sit down with our team and learn about what we're doing here with EXP Realty, we'll put some information below. We'll set up an appointment. Ian and I will hop on a call with you on Skype, talk to you about your business model, see if this is a fit for you, go over your numbers, even sit down with your team, because a lot of y'all have teams of 10, 20, 30 people. But you know what happens? It's very rare that these boutique brokers get over 30, and it's because of leverage. They don't have the ability to, leverage their resources, leverage their time to grow that office past that point. But because of the income model, or because of the EXP model, now all that time that you're trying to spend with all those agents running an adult daycare, you can now come into the EXP system, and 200 paid employees in the cloud are going to be doing a lot of these tasks and a lot of these jobs that you used to do. So it really is, in my opinion, the best model out there, which is why I joined the company. Guys, if you want to sit down with us, reach out to us. Ian, thank you. Always grateful to have you on the show.
Man.
And
all
guys,
right, looking forward to talking to you guys. Take care, man.
All right, guys, have a great day. See you when we see you.